What's up, everybody? This is your girl TL, and we are on point with the plug. I have Mr. Tracey Lee here with me. You know, he's just done so much, so I'm gonna let him speak for himself because my little young ears. You know, it's just like seeing somebody who has done so much, and not really had their story justified enough and told enough for people to, understand all the work you did and, put into the industry as an OG. So I'm happy to have you here today and I'm excited to get into these questions. And so, I can kind of, school the young kids my age because to me, I feel like one of the biggest things with artists nowadays is that they don't have their own style.
Mm,
Like
very,
with
very
you
astute.
being the OG in the industry, like what do you think? Like, do you think that today's artists like have their own style, their own trend?
I think there may be someone that steps out in the forefront and kind of creates a style, and then everybody else follows suit and mimic. Um, but I don't think that's necessarily the artist's fault per se. I think it's more like they feel like, well, this is the way that this person got on, and this is the way that this person has been successful. So you know what? Let me go and try to make a if it's not exactly the same, something that's similar to it, because they feel like that's the only way that they're going to be able to, get signed, if you will, if that's their goal. Or they may feel like that the listener is only used to that particular style and sound, so they'll follow suit to what the people may have, indicated, based off of sales and popularity and, buying tickets to the shows and things like that. So, I won't put all the blame on the artist. There are other things, other elements that come into play that may cause an artist to want to mimic whatever's hot at that particular time. But I think the free thinker and the innovator and the one that's willing to, step out there as the leader and be in the forefront. I think those are the people that are always the most successful. It's never the person that comes, second or third or fourth. You know what I mean? So it would behoove artists out there to come with some style and originality of their own and be the first to do it. You know what I mean?
Yes, and you are actually like one of the like to me, taking it all the way back and being an OG, of the industry. It's like, being one of the first, like how does it make you feel to be in that spot now? Like could you think of, a younger version of yourself? Would you see yourself being in the spot that you're in today?
Nah, I really can't because, you know, as a youngster, my whole goal and aspiration was to be just a sign artist and to be the greatest MC that I can be. But then once you get into that space and you do get that deal, you quickly understand that this business is not what you think it is. It's not about, I'm not going to say it's not about the artistry because that is what gets you there. But there are other elements that come into play that determine your success. And so, because of these things that I noticed, it caused it. For every action, there's an equal or opposite reaction. That's what they say in science. So, I reacted to, you know, my position, or should I say, the space that I was put in. Instead of me going in the direction that I had planned, it caused me to go into another direction based off of what I learned about this business and about the industry. So I felt like I had to further my education, but you know, for in furthering the education, there is a foundational something foundational that you must obtain, and then and which is when I went to law school and when I got out of the game for a quick minute and went to law school, that foundation was getting that JD and passing the bar. So now my brand is totally different. I'm still an MC, I'm still an artist, but now the brand has changed, and so now we're able to go in and open up other doors that may not have opened for me as an artist. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't foresee that when I first got in the game. When I first got in the game, it was all about the bars, it was all about the music, it was all about being an artist, and it was not on, adding that other element, which is becoming an entertainment attorney.
Yes, and that was like when I researched that about you becoming an entertainment lawyer, that was something that strikes me because a lot of people who are in the industry, they don't take a step back to say, maybe I need to take a step back and educate myself on some things before I just leap into what I think is, something that I want to do. So, what made you say, okay, this is what I need to be doing? Like, I need to step back from doing music and maybe I need to learn more. What was it for you that put you at that point?
When I got dropped from my label. So I was signed to Boston Universal Records from 1996 till 2001. And then I got dropped after I had completed my second album. It was ready to go. It was ready to be marketed and promoted. And then we get the phone call from Universal that says your services are no longer needed. So now, everything just came to a complete halt. Everything was stopped. That album was put on the shelf. Was never released. So now I have to think about what the next move is. Well, first thing that I do is I go back home to my mom's house. Now by this time I'm 30 years old. So, I was only able to stay there for maybe a couple of months. And then she was like, you gotta go. I don't care. I don't know where you're going, but you gotta get out of here. So, and which was the greatest thing that she could have done for me. So what I did was I moved down to Atlanta and I moved in with my brother. And we started sharing. We shared an apartment, and then he went off to grad school, and so I was now on my own again. Luckily, I met a friend. She was able to, provide a place where I could get on my feet for a second, and then I am very spiritual. So, I'm constantly praying, constantly asking God for direction. And sometimes you pray and you don't listen, you don't receive what's being brought to you. You just pray and just leave it there. Well, I was fully immersed into what God is trying to tell me. And so um, that's when and by the way, I was down to my last $7. So I go to church, and really as a token of faith, because what was I gonna do with $7? I could have went and got a meal or whatever, but then it's gone. So as a token of faith, I just put it in the collection plate. I said, God, this is me saying, you know, take it, take my worries, take my problems, take my troubles. I'm giving it to you. You figure it out. So a week after that, I get a phone call from Wayne Barrow, who is the president or vice president or president of Boston. He's the cousin of Mark Pitts, who is the CEO of Boston, and he tells me that Universal has a check for you, but they don't have an address. So, here's a number. Call the publishing department, and give them your address, and they'll send you the check. So I did that. So a week after that phone call, I get a check in the mail for $7,000. Then a week after that, I get another check in the mail for $57,000. And so again, it's just a testament to my faith, you know what I mean? And so and with that, I was able to, fund the direction that God is telling me to go in. That's when she says, go to law school, go to law school, not only for yourself, but to, provide information for others that are coming in the game and give them that guidance that you didn't get when you were coming up in the game. And it made perfect sense. So that's what I did. I paid off some loans from my undergrad at Howard University. I took the LSAT, and then my numbers were good enough to get me into Southern University Law Center in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So I kept it HBCU, Historically Black College and University. So I went there in 2003, graduated in 2006, passed the bar in 2007, and I've been a licensed attorney for the last 15 years.
That's a lot. Like I can honestly say like that to me that's inspiring, you know. A lot of the from what I see, a lot of people don't have that get up and go and that drive. Like when they're down to their last, they just gonna sit there and be like, "Oh, what am I?" You know, they're gonna
Yeah.
twiddle their finger. They don't have that get up and go. You know, the go getter. You know, and that's why y'all the OGs of the original. Because I don't think when I get older that any of the artists out nowadays are gonna be looked at as OGs
Mm,
because they
that's
don't
interesting.
have that get up and go that you all had. So one of the other
What I think,
questions.
what I think it is. I think it's because there's a sense of instant gratification. Like
Yes.
people want it now, nowadays. There's no, they don't want to go through a process. They want to, whatever it is that they're trying to achieve, they want to be able to achieve that right instantaneously right now. And so it speaks to why you think there won't be any OGs, if you will, because I think what comes with that OG moniker is the experience. It's the status, but it's the experience that goes with the status. And the only way you achieve experience is if you go through some things. So that's totally against the whole get it now, get it instantaneously because you're not
Yes.
going through anything. You get your whole idea is I want it now. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I think that's what that comes from.
So I mean a lot. I mean they don't. To me, it's like they don't want to see the struggle.
There you go.
So when
There you go.
you first decided to say, okay, I think that I want to get into the music industry, what was some of the struggles that you went through, like from the very beginning when you were making your first album? Like
Oh
what
wow.
was your biggest struggle?
Great question. I mean, I truly am an OG, right? So I've been trying to get a deal before I got my deal. I had been trying to get a deal since I was in high school. And so that was back in 1985, 86, 87, part of the struggle. So then I go to college in 1988 and I say, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to get a college degree. I'm going to become a sports broadcaster because that's my other passion. I love sports. And so after a semester, I'm still studying communications, but after a semester, I see some guys on the campus. One of my mentors, Derek D. Angeletti, who's a producer, he produced some of the greatest hits of our time with regards to hip hop. Him and this other brother by the name of China Black, they're rhyming in front of this building on the campus called the Blackburn Center. And so I immediately, when I see this, I immediately get the bug back again. It's like, I can't stop doing this. So this is 1989. So it only took me like 6 months to get back into what is supposed to be, what I'm supposed to be here doing. So um, but still, it's the part of the struggle. So you got 89, 90, constantly going to the studio, making demo tapes. We used to make demo tapes back in the day. And so when you make a demo, that's your resume, if you will, musically. And so you send those demos or those tapes to record companies. And hopefully somebody hears it and say, hey, we want to sign them based off of the demo. So we're making demo to 89, 90, 91, 92, constantly getting rejected. No, we don't. You know what I'm saying? Constantly, a few, near a few close calls. Oh yeah, we're very interested. Yeah, man, we're gonna fly to DC and we're gonna, you know what I mean? We're gonna give you the contract. Da 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 da. And then it never materialized. So you got 90, 91, 92, all of it. I almost got signed with Eric Sermon for with the Death Squad, which if, for the people that don't know who that is, that's Redman, Keith Murray, all OGs, right? So I almost got signed to them. I almost got signed to a label down in Atlanta, Rowdy Records, who was up under LaFace. Dallas Austin, who discovered TLC, his brother had a label up under, like I said, Rowdy Records. They flew in, they were very interested. Wound up not getting that deal. So it was a lot of that for. So we talking from 85 to 96. So this is an 11-year process. This is an 11-year process. So that's the struggle. Then we get signed.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. So, do you believe that the struggle made you who you are? What are some of the things that made you who you are? Like when I listen to people's music, I always want to know the background behind their music. Like what made you, some people say emotion or some people say it's from their life experiences. So what life experiences, impacted your music that people can hear from, listening to you?
Oh, it's definitely the struggle, the process. Um, but in hindsight, I when you're going through it, it's a little tough. But in hindsight, I wouldn't have did it any different. Like my path is unique to me. And that's the thing that I would encourage artists to own in on. Understand that your path is unique. It's different than everybody else's. What you go through is different. It may seem on its face like it's the same, you know what I'm saying? But there's something within that struggle that's different than somebody else's struggle. There's something within, even the good times is different than everybody else's. So it's the journey is the thing that you have to embrace. You know what I mean? And the journey is what inspires my music. That's what inspires me to write. That's what inspires me to keep it pushing because I'm very interested to see how this journey unfolds. You know what I mean? And I believe there's still more to the journey. You know what I mean? Like it's a never ending situation, especially like if like being a man of faith. You know what I'm saying? Like I know that there's and that's a part of the process too, because my idea may be is not God's plan. So I'm very interested to see what God's plan is because I got my own ideas and I could choose to go in another direction if I want. And that's the beauty of what God allows us to do. He allows us to choose and make your own bed, right? But
Yes.
I'm interested to see what God has because I know it's something
Yes.
far greater than what I could think. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. So when you were on your journey, I know you ran into like a couple people, that had been put into your path, right?
Mhm.
So, what are some of your fondest memories, with people that, you ran across with or worked with while you were on your journey?
Oh, I mentioned the brother before. I could call him a mentor. Derek D. Angeletti. He produced hits like Benjamin's, Puff and the Locks and Lil Kim and the late great Notorious B.I.G. on this record. He produced Hypnotize, which is also a record by the late great Notorious B.I.G. He would produce records for Jay Z. He produced records for LL. He produced him and his production partner Ron Lawrence, Amin Ra. They have probably produced records that have sold you know maybe somewhere in the 50 million copies worldwide. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just taking a guess. So these are people that I met along my journey. A lot of people that I met along my journey also went to Howard University. I went to school with Puff, Sean Puffy, Puff Daddy, whatever you want to call him, Combs. I went to school with Taraji P. Henson. I went to school with Anthony Anderson. I went to school with Marlon Wayans. I went to school to the same school but not at the same time as Chadwick Boseman. I went to school with the group called Shy, If I Ever Fall in Love. I went to school with a lot of people during that time that one of the members of Diggable Planets, Ananda Lewis. The list goes on and on. I went to school at a time where everybody was, you know, probably some of the people that are running the industry now, they were just owning their craft then. And so, but these are people that I took classes with, some of them. These are people that I've, hung out with. These are people along the journey, you know what I mean? And then, Mark Pitts, who actually managed Big, but wound up signing me to his label, also went to Howard University. So these are people that you meet along the way, and even when I went to law school, now I have a network of 30 lawyers that I can call. You know what I'm saying, at any given time about any situation. You know what I mean? So these are people that you meet across, along your path that help you to get where you need to be in your personal journey. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. So I want to make a pit stop on your path, right?
Okay.
So I'm gonna ask you a question. Um, my actual birthday is on December 5th.
Okay.
So I know that that's a day. Uh, I was asking, about the when you was in the studio with Big,
Yes.
and my actual birthday is on December 5th. So I was like, isn't that a coincidence? So I wanted to ask you about that. Like, how was that whole experience for
Mm.
you? Having one of the last of the last of the last that he put out.
Ooh, great question. Great question. Um, I mean, it was surreal at the. Nah, I don't want to use that word because I knew it was going down. It was very at that time to be in the studio with arguably the best rapper in the world. He was at his peak, like he was hitting his stride at the time. Um, it was um, it was a great experience, humbling in the sense that okay, I feel like as an MC, I'm one of the best in the world, but this is a guy that many people regard as the best in the world. So, it was humbling in that sense. It's like, okay, you're about to get busy with, who a lot of people think are the greatest is the greatest. It was very educational because he had been in the game about 5, 6 years. You know what I'm saying? So he could school, even though he was 2 years younger than me, he could school me on some things that I didn't know about. You know what I mean? Because I just never gone back to that whole experience thing. And so, while we were making the record, we was in the studio for about 8 hours. But I had talked to Big previously, you know what I mean? But we were in there, in this particular session, we were in there for 8 hours, and we were, in the midst of writing the record, we were talking, you know what I'm saying, and just having conversation and building, and him telling me what his next moves are and things like that. So uh, it was a great experience, from a just a session perspective, but it was also a chance for us to really collaborate on a great record. You know what I mean? And I don't think we could have created a better record than we did. We set out with a roadmap. We figured out how we wanted to do it. We had a direction, and I think we executed perfectly. You know what I mean?
Yes. And so, I mean, when you were talking about, the roadmap and the execution, and, what do you believe makes someone, a star? Like, makes someone who they are? Like, you know, do you believe that it's what their persona, or do you believe it's their experiences?
I think somebody can be an artist, right? They can be a good artist, but I don't think you can. I think you're born a star. I put it to you like that. It's an intangible, right? It's an intangible that you can't measure. You could put people in certain positions and put the spotlight on people and make people popular. That's what I'm saying. You can make people popular, but you are born a star. You know what I'm saying? You can't measure that. You can't put it in a bottle. You can't sell it. You know what I'm saying? It's either you have it or you don't. That's just my opinion. It's the it factor. That's what I'm gonna call that. It's just the it factor. Like you could see somebody, you could talk to them, they come in the room, and automatically you just I don't know what it is, and I'm sure you've encountered this even amongst your peers and people that you know. Somebody step in the room and it's like they're here without them saying a word. That's a start.
Okay, so do you believe that there are people who are falling stars? Like, do you ever believe in that?
Yeah, falling star, absolutely. And because people always have the ability to choose. You know what I'm saying? Like you're born a star, but you can choose not to be that, to be the best version of you. And you make another decision or a wrong decision, and then to your point, that's a falling star.
Okay. See, you schooling me. You giving me a little, rundown. At a point in your career, did you feel like giving up? And if so, what kept you motivated?
All hey, I go through it now. You know what I'm saying? But it's again, I got to go back to my faith. So there are times when you feel like, yo, why am I doing this? What is my purpose? I got because that goes back to you having your vision for what or where you think you need to be, and what you think you should be doing. And again, um, because of my faith, I don't, I may get into a lull, if you will, for a second, but my faith always brings me back because I do know there's a purpose. I'm here for a purpose, and I'm going to see to it that I get to my purpose before I check out. You know what I'm saying? So it's really that's really the simple answer. My faith is what keeps me going. You know?
Most definitely. And if you don't got God by your side, it could get treacherous out here. And mm, I don't
Yeah.
know what the world would be without carrying that faith and having that faith. So, do you think that the industry has changed? Like, do you think that people still have that same faith? I don't think that people still have that same faith. That's why they're not reaching the levels of where they need to be because they don't have that faith. So,
Okay.
what kind of impression do you think that everything that you went through, the things that you done, what kind of everlasting impression do you think that you left, on our culture, or you would want to leave on our culture?
I think it's still growing. I think I'm leaving something brick by brick. Having this type of energy. You know what I mean? This is a part of leaving the legacy. Getting in front of people, having conversation, not necessarily on camera. You know, people that I see in the street. That's a part of the legacy. You know what I mean? Um, I just think my path is different. In my brain, I've come to the realization, as much as I would like or have in the past, would have liked to have been, or would like my journey to be like somebody else's. I've come to the realization and conclusion that that is not my journey, and so my legacy is being left in a different way, and as long as I'm able to document, meaning whether writing it down, recording it, for people to receive it and to collect it, that the legacy will still be here past when I'm gone. You know what I'm saying? Um, Making records, that's a form of documentation. That's another way of me leaving the legacy. You know what I mean? My offspring, that's another way of leaving the legacy for them to tell a story and for their kids to tell a story. So, it's a different type of journey. Than other people. And I think everybody has their own journey, but these are the ways that I'm leaving my legacy.
Yes. And I always ask people that because I feel like the impression that you leave on the world is extremely important, especially with music.
Yes.
Um and I feel like because now everyone's wanting to get into trends and wanting to do what's popping and what's they're not worried about the impression that they leave on the world with some of the things that they evoke through their music. So if you could give, this will probably be one of the, last questions that I have. If you could give 3 tips to those who are wanting to get into the entertainment industry, what would you give them? What advice would you tell a younger you? What what advice would you tell younger Tracey Lee?
The first thing I would tell young Tracey Lee is to study the business first. Um, you're going to realize you have a talent, right? Real quick, or don't have a talent. But either way, if you want to get into this business, either in front of the mic or behind the mic, you have to understand and study the business from a basic perspective. There's plenty of literature out there. There's a book by Passman, all you need to know about the music industry that gives you a basic foundation of what the business is about. But there are other, other materials out there, even documentaries, autobiographies. You know what I'm saying? People have been in this business for a long time, and they tell you the same stories of how they've succeeded and how they failed. And this is nothing new under the sun, and it's all out there for you to, obtain the knowledge. So the first thing I would say is, get a good grasp on the foundational aspects of the music industry. Second thing I would say is be going back to your first question. Be original. Understand who you are. Understand what you bring to the table, and be original. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna put a caveat to that. Be dope and original. Now, being dope is discretionary. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody has their own taste or what have you. But I think in your gut, you know whether or not you have what it takes, you know what I'm saying, from a music standpoint, or whether this is just a quick come up, you know what I'm saying? So just be true and original to yourself. And that will take you further than you trying to copy and be a cookie cutter of what's already out there. And then the third thing I would say is just stay dedicated. And stay the course. It may not happen instantaneously. You know what I'm saying? So if you're really committed to it, stay the course. Stay the course, and if it's meant for you, then it shall be yours. And those are probably the three the most sound advice that I could give to an up and coming artist and entertainer trying to get into this game.
Yes, because I mean, it's not much guidance nowadays. Like, I don't feel like we have much guidance, especially for me, wanting to be in the media. We don't have much guidance. People aren't willing to give us that guidance. So, even just us having this conversation today, and you telling me your stories and some of the trials that you went through, it really makes me step back and think about, okay, what could I be doing better to better
Mhm.
myself, going forward in the entertainment industry. So I want to thank you for being here with me today and interviewing with me and giving me, a little piece of the game. I mean, you ain't give me all the game, but you gave me a little piece of the game, and I am just so grateful for that.
Listen, let me tell you something. I One of the things, this is like a pet peeve of mine. I've never agreed with that whole the game is to be sold, not to be told. I've never, because how are we going to come up as a collective if we keep trying to sell the game to the people that we should be giving the game to in order to be for the betterment of the collective? I'm about everybody coming up. So, whatever information you need, now that we have a connection, by all means, you can tell my brother Brandon who hooked this up, man. Make sure, look, my phone line is open. Whatever game you need, I got you, my sister.
Yes, and tell our people where they can find you on social media so that they can connect with you and make sure that they keeping up with you.
Absolutely. I'm on IG at Tracey Lee ESQ. That's TraceYleeESQ. That's also my handle on TikTok. The same thing, TraceYleeESQ. If you're on Facebook, it's just Tracey Lee. If you're on Twitter, it's at Trey Lee, Traylee. And then most importantly, go to my website for any and everything Tracey Lee, including the new single Party Time XXV, which we have the merch right here. That's at
Yeah. Make sure y'all streaming that new single.
TracyLeeMusic.com, TraceYlee music.com. The video is also on YouTube, so run up the numbers.
Most definitely, most definitely. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you giving me some of your game. Thank y'all
Absolutely.
for watching On Point with the Plug. We got more coming up for y'all next week.
If you or someone you know would like to be a panelist on His and Hers, email us at production@plugnetworkonline.com. Subject line, His and Hers. Want your brand or business featured on the plug? Advertise with us at plugnetworkonline.com. Again, advertise with us at plugnetworkonline.com. We got the eyes that are looking for you.
Years of experience with natural, carefully handcrafted products makes PK Powders your go-to for all skincare needs. Owned and operated by licensed esthetician Precious Kentel, PK Powders provides a myriad of solutions to keep you looking good, smelling great, and above all, maintain your skin's health. Located 1930 Bishop Lane, Suite 101, Louisville, Kentucky, right inside the Watterson Towers building. The play is PK.